Hello everyone, in this video, I'll take you through the full logo design process, from the very first client message to a polished professional result. I received a new email from a client, Rachel Kim, the co-founder of an AI productivity startup called NeuraNest. They're building a tool that helps founders stay focused by organizing their workflow into one smart dashboard. In the email, Rachel explained the basics of the project and asked if I could design a logo for it. To get a clearer picture of what they needed, I sent over a custom logo design questionnaire I built using Google Forms. Based on their answers, I crafted this brief. It covers everything from their brand personality to the kind of message they want the logo to send. It serves as a roadmap for the design process, helping ensure the final result aligns with the client's vision and brand strategy. Before sketching anything, I laid out a clear 3-option proposal tailored for NeuraNest. The client had choices, from a lean one-concept package to a full-blown strategy suite, but they went with the middle tier, $2,500 for 3 custom logo concepts, 2 rounds of revisions, and a mini brand guide with all the final files. As with all my project, I invoiced the client 50% upfront before even starting the ideation phase. It's a simple framework that sets the tone. When both sides are invested, the creative process gets the respect. With the brief in hand, I did what I always do first, extract the words that paint pictures. Starting with neural, I pulled out visual cues like tech lines, circuits, grids, AI face, and brain. Then from nest came a different palette. Home, branches, bird. And from bird I got feathers, then egg. And from egg I pulled the word shell. Once I had the full spread, I split everything into 2 lists, structured tech versus organic comfort. I crossed off the cliches, things like the AI face and the brain. Those visuals are too common and wouldn't help the brand stand out. Then I looked for points where the 2 lists could meet. That's where the magic starts to happen. From that intersection, I began exploring art directions like soft tech monograms, abstract shapes that hide meaning in their geometry, minimal organic forms with embedded structure, and symbols that feel quiet but intelligent. From there, I had enough fuel to start sketching. Before jumping into sketching, I always start with a bit of research. It helps me gather inspiration and, more importantly, make sure I'm not creating something that's already been done. Some of my go-to places for logo design inspiration are BP&O's Identity Collection, Logo Lounge for spotting trends, and of course, Dribbble, probably the best place to see what other designers are working on right now. I started the session by playing around with some tech lines, trying to shape them into something that loosely feels like a nest. Not literal twigs or branches, but more structured and modern. Something that hints at protection without being too obvious. Then I explored a monogram approach, took the letter N and shaped it using wing-like forms and some subtle circuit-style lines. Did a couple of variations there just to see how far I could push the idea without losing readability. After that, I sketched a set of soft, twisting lines that slowly formed into an egg shape. It felt balanced, abstract, but still recognizably organic. One of my favorite ones was a stylized letter N, built with smooth curves, where the negative space formed a subtle egg. It felt calm and intentional, a nice middle point between structure and softness. And finally, I tried one more thing, a solid bird icon, where the wings and inner lines followed a neural pattern. Clean, simple, and different from the rest. Once I had a few that felt promising, I moved on to refining the strongest ideas, cleaning up the lines, and getting them ready to build out in Illustrator. Alright, I start by pasting in the sketch with Ctrl+V. First thing I do is reduce the opacity a little, just to make it easier on the eyes and help with the tracing. Then I rotate the sketch by 45 degrees, since the logo is built on a diagonal axis. Once it's tilted, I lock the layer to keep it in place. I draw a rectangle over the main part of the sketch. Any fill color works here. I lower the opacity of the rectangle as well, so I can still see the sketch underneath. Then with the pen tool, I make a long line here. I swap the fill and stroke. Then I change the color to white. And then I increase the stroke size. After that, I align both shapes vertically, so the stroke sits right in the middle of the rectangle. To keep all the negative space looking even, I hold Alt and drag this white line down, color it orange, and line it up with the rectangle. I duplicate the rectangle and the stroke, move them down here, and line them up using the orange guide. Once it's aligned, I delete the guide to keep things clean. Next, I select the two white lines and shrink them a bit so they match the spacing from the sketch. I connect them with the pen tool, drawing from one anchor to the other so it becomes a single shape. Illustrator sends that line to the back, so I right-click and bring it to the front. Direct selection tool time. I hold Shift, grab these two anchor points, and drag the widgets to round the corners. I stretch this rectangle a bit, and I shorten this one, and align everything based on the sketch. It's a bit of back and forth, tweak, check, and tweak again. Then I click on the corner and drag the widget. Then I stretch this one a little, and I do the same. With the direct selection, I select this part, then I align it with the sketch, then I shorten this line. For the neck of the bird, I make a circle here, and I align it with the sketch. With the pen tool, I complete the form of the beak, then I close the shape. Now I select all the filled parts. Grab the Shape Builder tool and hold Alt to subtract the unwanted areas. After that, I unite everything using the Pathfinder. I reduce the opacity again to check the sketch underneath, then cut the final shape with Ctrl+X, select the stroke shape, and paste it behind using Ctrl+B. Now I make a little circle here, then I make it white. I align it with the line. Then I click on this corner and drag the widget. I hold Alt and I drag this circle here. Then I shorten the white line to meet the negative space of the sketch. With the pen tool, I click here and make the line longer. I select the line, then from Object I expand it to make it a filled vector shape, not just a stroke. Then I select it along with the white circles, and from the Pathfinder, I click on Unite. I hold Shift and I select the bird fill. Then from the Pathfinder, I click on -front to carve those white shapes out of the bird shape. Now to continue tracing the inclined line, I drag this segment down. Then with the pen tool, I make a horizontal line. I swap the fill and stroke. Then from Object, I go to Path, then divide objects below. Then I hold Alt and I drag the divided part and I align it with this part. Then I duplicate another one. Then I rotate it by 45 degrees. Then I align it with the sketch. Now I stretch it from both sides. I select it along with the other parts. Then with the Shape Builder, I hold Alt and I delete the extra parts. While everything is selected, I unite them from the Pathfinder. I drag it here, then I make it black, and then I rotate it to its original angle. Optically wise, horizontal lines always look thicker to the eyes than the vertical ones. So I select this segment and I drag it down to make this part thinner, so it will look even to the eyes. Moving to the next logo, I paste in the sketch using Ctrl+V, lower the opacity like I did earlier, and then lock the layer so it doesn't move around while I'm working. I grab the pen tool, pick a random bright color for the stroke, just something that stands out, and I start tracing over the main shape. I'm focusing on the cleanest, most intentional version of the sketch, keeping it loose but structured. If you're still struggling with the pen tool, no worries. It takes time. You can check out Will Patterson's latest video on it. It'll definitely help clear things up. When I'm done tracing, I increase the stroke weight to see things more clearly, then switch to the direct selection tool to go through each anchor point and smooth out the lines. I tweak the handles where needed to get more consistent curves and remove any unnecessary points that might mess with the flow. Once the outline looks solid, I hold Alt and I drag the outline here, then I swap the fill and stroke. I want to make this negative space to look more like an egg. So, I make a circle here, then with the direct selection, I drag this point up a little, then I drag this one a little bit down, then I align it with the outline, and I change its color to black, then I decrease its opacity, and I stretch it to align it with the negative space of the logo, then I paste it behind the outline, then with the direct selection, I adjust the curves to fit the egg shape. Once I'm happy with the egg shape, I drag it over to the side and give it a solid black fill. The result is a stylized N with the egg shape cut into it. Simple, minimal, but with a nice conceptual twist. Now it's time to pick the right typography for the logo. To do that, I head over to myfonts.com, which has a massive collection of typefaces. I type in the logo name, NeuraNest, so I can preview it live across different fonts. For logo design, I usually check out the display font category. They tend to have more personality and visual impact. As I scroll, I look at how the fonts behave in real use cases. Does it feel modern? Does it match the brand's voice? And from here, I'll keep exploring and collecting the ones that feel the most convincing for this project. After spending some time searching through fonts, these 6 stood out for this project. They all had something interesting, from futuristic edges to that nice geometric rhythm. But in the end, I went with Inter. It's free, super versatile, and has this clean, modern feel that balances tech and clarity without looking too cold. It just felt right for NeuraNest. There are tons of ways to pick colors for a logo, though you should always go back to the brand's personality and values from the brief. One of my favorite tools for color inspiration is Adobe Color. I head to the Explore tab, where you can browse thousands of palettes made by other creatives. You can search by industry, mood, or even values like trust or innovation, which helps narrow it down fast. From there, I picked out 3 palettes that match the vibe we're going for with NeuraNest. After comparing them, I landed on the 3rd one. It struck the perfect balance between tech and warmth, modern, calm, and confident, just like the brand should feel. Next, I'll create a presentation for each concept, showcasing how the logo works in different use cases and explaining the thinking behind each direction. Once the client selects a final concept and any needed revisions are made, I'll prepare a mini logo guideline and deliver all the essential logo files. That wraps up the full process for this project, from the initial message to the final logo. I'll be covering the logo guidelines and file delivery in a separate video soon, so stay tuned for that. And if you have any questions about the process or just want to share your thoughts, feel free to drop a comment. I always enjoy reading them.